windy few days, I suppose.
For us or for you?
For you.
Oh, well, shit, man, your guys' weather over there is the stuff I keep watching. Between you guys and Saudi Arabia, whew,
By the way, I
why is
did
God
have
mad?
cheerful
Why
news
is God
today.
mad at you?
Uh,
Sorry, good.
the cheerful news that I read today was that we are definitely going to blast past the 1.5 degree threshold for global warming that we were supposed to stay within as human beings.
Because, because nobody gives a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to do with that. We, supposedly we're running even between a guy that's in court and farts all day and falls asleep to a guy who is in his office and falls asleep all day. Yeah, I don't have any idea how you convince people to take anything serious because you look at Dubai when they had all those and the floods and the cool little boats that came out to rescue your rover and bring it back to your place.
Wasn't there another flood like a couple of days ago?
Well, the last one I saw was Saudi. Woo,
okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But I think Arizona looks the same way here when they get rain. It's a desert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how much. Look, everybody, anytime there's a tornado in Oklahoma, people literally like 30 people send me, is everything okay? And I go, I didn't even know there was one. So it's just in a different part of the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stuff. What's going on in your world, man? Other than the wind?
Oh, we did have rains for the past couple of days, so I'm guessing our monsoons are here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for 2 days.
We were supposed to have it supposed to rain like every day, and hopefully it does. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I don't know who I was talking to, whether it's James or somebody else. I said, I'm not moving anywhere where there isn't enough water. Well, California, weirdly enough, all of their aqueducts would go down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally to near empty, and then they would have essentially a monsoon, and in 3 days they were full. And you go, you guys can't plan on that. If it rained 100 miles over, you don't have any. Yeah, I don't understand any of that. So my last day in city government was supposed to be Monday, and we had to postpone it because of the tornadoes. So I'm still the mayor of Vice. That's my job.
Still public official, whatever.
I know, of some sort. Yeah, of some sort. Yeah, my convenient bread making today, if anybody can see, is all over my shirt. It's not been a hard morning. It's just been a morning. Okay, let me cover a couple of things for you, buddy. So Chaya Rychek, this lady lives with TikTok, who I talk about occasionally because she's talentless, not just because she's talentless. She just happens to be female, but she's a twit. And then Ryan Walters, the head of our education here in Oklahoma, we're tweeting through one another how much they're taking care of predators in school. And so I had to do our regular political podcast yesterday. I'm like, well, let me list off 3 that they didn't get to when they're all worried about one trans person in the bathroom.
Is that guy still the coach or whatever the hell he is in that town?
Oh, yeah.
About?
So in Ringling, Oklahoma, and they gave his wife an emergency certificate to be the counselor of the school, who didn't turn him in before.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So one of the other schools where they paid a $6 million settlement, I haven't verified this one, said that they rehired one of the coaches that was involved in the lawsuit. You just go, in what world is this normal? That maybe we're in a new normal, or maybe normal never changed and I just know about it now. It's possible.
A lot of this stuff that goes on and we're aware of, I wonder how much of that has to do with our constant consumption of news, which we didn't do previously.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? 24-hour news, and you and I have both worked in news, and 24-hour news, you have to fill 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you got to have something to show, then you got to have something to have a conversation about, and then you go to commercial, and then you come back and you talk about it a little more, and then you find something else to show. And so people are just scouring the internet for stuff. I told you I'm doing this segment for Good Morning America, number 3, which sounds like the Ocho from Dodgeball. ESPN, the Ocho.
For the last time, it just is the 3rd hour of the same Good Morning America show.
But I don't know why I have issues with it, but I do. So I sent my stuff out to this guy like 2 days ago, and yesterday it was still showing his loading.
Good.
He goes, here's a drive, put it all on here. Then it didn't tell you whether it went or not. Magic Computer Land, it went from here to there, but nobody told me it arrived. Kind of like teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Just so you know, you might want to send a notice saying, hey, your shit arrived. Just a little tip.
To be very honest with you, that reminds me that there are these shared folders that we use for work too, where I never tell anybody if a file's in there because it asks you, do you want to notify this person? And if you click on yes, it shows them. If you don't, they know that it's in that file.
And they didn't tell me that the click yes. You guys suck. You control freaks. Control freaks.
So you'll find this funny. Yesterday, I spent almost like 6 hours on a call. And it was basically, No, it was fun because I do like what I do. But it was the core features of an application, okay, for a law firm. And I had to defend every point to my technical guy.
Oh, wow.
As to why I needed that feature and where else in the application does it connect, talk to.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating call because if you heard me, you'd just think that I'm debating or fighting with someone, but it was just a normal process for us where we fight out these features that we add and do not add.
For people who don't understand, so you have to take people like me when I go, this is what I'd like the internet to do. And you go, well, that's possible, but expensive. And then you have to find the people that can understand the language that you tell them from there. So you're a good intermediary just for people who don't know what you do for a job. Wow. Well, just so you know, I have a computer, an iPad, and an iPhone. And guess what's the only thing I use?
Your phone.
Man, I can do everything on it. There's just no need for the other stuff. I tried to give it to my kids and nobody wants them.
Wait, is it a comedian or an author who was talking about how till Bill Gates had control over the internet, you needed people who were super good in maths to use a computer, and the world was safe. It was like the moment Steve Jobs came and gave like every idiot a computer, which was like, I think the iMac when he launched it.
So when I was in like 8th grade, we started to do algebra and stuff. And I distinctly remember a teacher saying, you need to learn how to do this the right way because you're never going to have anything around you that will do it for you. And man, lack of vision, Sister Rosa Rita, lack of vision right there. It really wasn't her. I
do remember even in the 90s, Sean, people not letting us take calculators into the exam room. They were like, there's never going to be a point where you're going to constantly have a calculator on you. I'm like, you dicks, y'all made me learn all of those multiplication tables.
Right. Yeah. And the interesting part of all of it is you go, okay, in the rare chance that I have to do it in my head, there's probably somebody else with yet another phone that can look it up for me. So Einstein said, never memorize anything you can find in a book.
Yeah.
It just takes up too much brain space. So yeah, that stuff's BANANAS, bananas. It's just bananas. So we are coming up to graduation at the end of the school year right now. So we're doing the parties for the next week. And we got up to $92,000 on giveaways on the free and reduced lunch debt. So it's actually student lunch debt, but we were able to clear out 92,000 of it. Pretty nice.
That's nice. Hey, you're almost like less than 8K away from a 6-figure donation type thing.
So I thought the USA Today thing would bring in another 10,000 and get us over, and it just really didn't. It only brought in about $1,000, just like any other article would bring in. It just didn't really do it, which is fascinating for how big that paper is. But I'm who knows? I mean, but they also didn't do a link to the GoFundMe. You got to do a link. If you don't do a link, it's too difficult.
Yeah, you can't just Google that on the internet and figure out where the hell Kickstarter is and your page is.
Right. Yeah. It's a weird deal how all that works. I really enjoyed it. Okay. while we're on, just so you know, so that I did that podcast called Thanks THNX, and it's a guy in Houston, Texas that was a runner, and he was running and evidently died literally. And for 8 minutes, they were bringing him back. I don't know the whole story on that because we didn't cover that in the podcast, but that's, so he starts this podcast so you can thank people. And I was on it and did a really great 1 hour interview. Well, he's a criminal attorney. So he's one of the best interviewers I've ever run across. I mean, like, it is a solid interview that goes a whole bunch of different places for a few minutes and then comes back where, you know, how you're supposed to do it. And give it to I'll post it later today, but have a listen to that one. I think you'll get a kick out of it. We went through, like, he goes through like your work cycle in life, which I've never done with anybody. I mean, I just haven't. It's never been, you know, I never needed a resume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my thing, but it's pretty good. Then what caught me is about 10 minutes left to go. He goes, you know, this program is actually, you know, about saying thank you to somebody. Do you have somebody that was a big impact on your life that you want to thank? And I was like, I should have done my homework and known I needed to be prepared for this, because I was not. So I pulled one out of a hat that was pretty solid. But, you know, I probably had other ones that were big deals that I just couldn't come up with at the time. I honestly was taken by surprise.
Yeah, those things are super tricky because you can't forget somebody who's going to get pissy about it.
Oh God, yeah.
Petty enough to do that crap. But you didn't mention.
So I'm so old now; they're all dead.
Ah. There's the bright side.
There is the upside. I got that going for me. Yeah, I mean, but it's something to think about. But I would recommend this. You know, I know you're a big podcast listener, and I know other people that listen to this are podcasts. It's a good one to THNX. Thanks. Not Spanx. Thanks. But anyway, the guy was great, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing that one. So, but it's an hour long. It's a little wordy for me.
Hopefully my tiny brain can grasp all of the information.
You will be fine while you're doing 3 things with that in the background going, oh, I don't know if I think that's true. I don't know if I think that's true. Oh, Lordy, man. I'm dragging today, buddy. The humidity's crazy high. You don't need to remind me. I know it is over there all the time.
No, but I did see the pub was empty the other day when you sent me that video, and I was like, where the hell is everyone?
Lord.
Yeah.
Tornado. Look, it's smart. I mean, at 60 years old, I just want to close on nights like that. But unfortunately, my whole kitchen crew needs the hours. And so we open dangerously so they can get hours, putting everybody in danger that works here. And it's just, I'm to a point in my life, I'd rather just stay home, watch some TV and sit it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but we still open all the time, and people expect, I mean, we only had 5 customers in the pub all night. And, you know, it cost me about $1,000 to just open. So, and Vito's did have some people early, weirdly enough, but, you know, so it wasn't a total loss, but it wasn't worth doing. It wasn't worth the risk. Yeah. So I had a dishwasher working for me 25 years ago. And we had bad weather coming in, but I had a medical meeting going on with the speaker, and they didn't want to cancel it because they'd already flown the guy in town. And we get an ice storm, and my dishwasher wrecks on her way home and cut her face up and all this stuff. And I swore that was the last time I was going to open, when it was unnecessary. Now, I don't feel the same way about tornadoes. Our city is 90 square miles.
Yeah.
It's enormous. So when you hear there are tornadoes here, it doesn't even mean it's within 50 miles of me, much less 5 blocks. You know, with 5 blocks, you need to worry. 50 miles, you get some wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, when you were here, did you have a safe space in your house?
No, we had to basically just go to the church at the end of my street.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
My backyard shares a wall with that church, right? So that was where we were supposed to gather. But I think in all my time, there was just like one time when it was like the first year I was in Oklahoma, and I met somebody.
Me too.
Yeah.
Big one. Go ahead. Sorry.
That was the first time where I was meeting a client, like the first client I ever met in Oklahoma, okay? And we're meeting at that place called Republic in Chesapeake, wherever the hell that was.
With all the TVs. Yeah, with all the TVs.
And the entire restaurant empties out. He's from New York. And this is like my first time in Oklahoma. So both of us were the only ones sitting there till finally the waitress came out.
Wow.
Like, guys, can you all pick up your drinks and just go into the walk-in refrigerator till
What?
this goes by?
That's the safest place. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's really, I would question whether it really is the safest space, but that's what's listed as the safest space.
I guess
Look, the tornadoes have gotten bigger here, so nothing's safe anymore.
yeah. Like
But
someone
have we changed our behavior? Have we changed our behavior?
No.
No. Why would we do that?
Have you watched that show on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse, where he starts the show by saying human beings have amnesia? That's the start of all 6 episodes. That's what we are.
He's not wrong. Well, it's weird. You know, Sulphur, Oklahoma just got blown out. This friend of mine that's from there, because I've just never seen anything like it. And I go, this is where we are. Everybody warned us this is where we were going to be. It didn't like we didn't get a warning, you know. And have I ever told you about Inhofe talking about moving climate change down to the 10th most important thing from number 1?
No,
have I told you about this?
We have talked about this briefly a long time ago.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know anything about it, Senator Inhofe is from Oklahoma and pretty powerful senator. And
by the way, he was a guy who bought a snowball into he's the snowball guy, the senator who was like, how can I carry the snowball of this global warming type shit? That guy.
Yeah. Because that made a lot of sense, didn't it? I don't know who sent him the memo on that one. But he's older and, you know, probably cognitive decline. I think that's fair to say. You know, you get to be 80 and your cognitive decline. So we're in a radio station and he looks around like he's getting ready to tell a racist joke. And he goes, you know, we're the ones that got rid of it. And I can't remember, that wasn't the exact words, but we're the ones that knocked it down or something along that. And no one knew what he was talking about. We're like, Senator, what do you mean? And he tells us, you know, that damn Al Gore, he got climate change up to the first most important thing in America. And we knocked it down to number 10. And you're like, oh, okay. I mean, is that good? I mean, you're in the middle of it. Is that good? How'd that work out for you guys?
Yeah, good Lord. I'm pretty sure that even that link I sent you about John Oliver and public libraries, where he's like, dude, why are we focusing on this? This is like the least important thing that's happening in the world.
But that's why. I mean, I don't know how many times you can get played. You remember Hillary lock her up? I mean, do you remember all that shit? Okay. Yeah. How did we go from that to where we are now? I mean, and it's been a series of like 15 different bullshit stories, and people aren't smart enough to put 2 and 2 together that it's bullshit. I mean, I wish I was kidding, but that is where we're at. It just moves on to another cycle, and they just make up some more shit. But it does keep everybody entertained. You know, you think of Rome, give them bread, give them entertainment. Our entertainment is politics now.
Politics,
it's just right.
Social media,
and TikTok. Right. And yeah. But TikTok's the problem. Wait till AI comes out with the commercials during the election season. I mean, you and I have both seen, I mean, it's pretty damn good. Is it indecipherable? No, but it's pretty damn good.
Oh, shit. I do have a version that the girl who helps us with this podcast sent me of Biden doing the introduction to this podcast. I'll send it to you.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah. That would be awesome. Yeah. So I think that's the next kind of surprise. And so here, and I'd be interested in your input, probably not today, but maybe on the next episode is, you know, Governor Stitt and I, sooner or later, are going to have to discuss the fact that he turned down federal money for school lunches during summer because he didn't think Oklahomans needed it for kids. Our kids have enough to eat. And then I have proven...
If you're a rich billionaire loan guy, they do. But then what about the rest?
It doesn't give a hoot about them. So sooner or later, I don't think he and I ever get to have a sit down because we're probably both unpleasant enough towards each other where it could turn out bad. And he is the governor, so I own. Do what?
I said you're unpleasant in general. Leave it alone.
I was trying to be soft about it. Did it not work? So, But sooner or later, I'd like to sit down and just go over all the schools that I went to and what they had to say about it. Because you talk to the lunch lady. You want to find out about school lunches? Go to the lunch lady. That's what the original Sam Walton, not as spoiled brat kids, but the original Sam Walton that started Walmart would go talk to the lunch people, see what they have to say. I mean, it's not that difficult. So how do you guys get beyond that? I mean, is it just an acceptance that poverty is part of life? I mean, how do you, because yours is kind of in your face every day.
Yeah. It's weird, right? There was that old sentence that we used to describe India back in the day during like the 2000s, where it was islands of prosperity and oceans of poverty. Where
oh, wow.
There
That's
are
brutal.
islands, like you can stand outside like an apartment that costs, say, $500,000, but you still have to go on the same street where there are poor people sitting on the side of the street and selling fruits and stuff like that. So it's this, I have a feeling part of it is like inbuilt cognitive dissonance where we just don't register it correctly. And part of it might be just you see it all the time and there's nothing you can really do.
So it's not new. Yeah.
That
right. And the problem is so big that literally you cannot tackle it. Right.
See, I had a friend during the pandemic who tried to like raise some money to buy like grains, like lentils and rice and give it away to poor people. But it was like a microscopic drop in an ocean where you would, if the word gets out that you're doing that, you probably could get your house stormed in by all the people who want grain. So it's a double-edged sword when you help.
Yeah.
These kind of.
I will tell you, I am inundated by calls, and they're pleas. They're not calls. They're pleas, and I get it. And hell, man, I want to help everybody, but at the end of the day, when we run out of money, we run out of money. I mean, that's it. Yeah, it's crazy being on the other end of that because I've always kind of been the intermediary. Like you had the food bank, and I would go run a board, or I would help do stuff in the kitchen, things like that. I've never been the go-to guy. Yeah, so that's a first, and so it's not disappointing or anything. I mean, if everybody's doing their best, which is nice because everyone's doing their best, right? How weird is that?
Isn't that famous Anthony Bourdain's quote that I love, where he's like, no matter where you travel in the world, it is just people trying to do the best with what they have. And they still invite you in your house in like the most horrible places in the world and feed you a meal with what they have.
Right. Yeah. With the 35 cents that they have left to work with. Yeah. The most poignant thing I've ever heard close to that, and I think it was my uncle, who was a priest down in Brazil. He'd go to a house and they only had one cup and 3 kids and him. So they offered him a drink and he didn't take it. So one of the kids drank and then offered again. And the other kid took it and then offered again. Finally, he goes, I just drank it because they were insulted that I'd said no 3 times, and he goes, I just didn't, I mean, it's all they had. Yeah, it's, hey man, hey, let's not depress everybody again.
I know.
It's what we did.
Since we did include political conversation in this YouTube thing, I'm going to get flagged anyway. Do you want to talk about?
Are you kidding me? Who did we talk about?
Do you want to talk about Putin being reined in again for another 6-year term yesterday? Might as well go all out, Sean.
I'm not even sure I know what to say about the guy, but sooner or later, I mean, do they replace him with a lookalike? I mean, how's this work in the long run?
Okay, so from now 6 years, and after 6 years, he gets to choose if he wants to run for another 6 years.
Right.
So it's almost 25 years that he's ran Russia.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know.
I just wouldn't want to be in charge that long. But I guess that's why I'm not that. He does. I mean, he's made himself quite wealthy. But, at the end of it all, Steve Jobs had the quote, it doesn't matter what car you drive and all this. I'm laying in bed dying. None of the other stuff, none of it mattered. And he was a pretty wealthy guy.
Yeah. I have to use the comedian's name because it was brilliant. It was Bill Burr who said, do you think when they buried Steve Jobs, the top of the coffin had a big crack on it like the iPhone glasses? It was a beauty.
Okay,
There is no one who can write
dude,
that joke better.
that is awesome. That is brilliant. All right, man. I've got to go pull some bread out of the oven.